Back to the Culture Call on Praise 93.3 with L. Spencer Smith. Our desire is to reach and empower the community by discussing a cross-section of relevant topics from various perspectives that are essential to its growth and interpersonal connections. Be sure to save our call-in number, 205-752-4800. Be sure to install the free Praise 93.3 app so you can send L. Spencer Smith a message or topic idea. Search for WTSK in your app store.
This is a world premiere.
Great morning, great morning, great morning, precious people. You know what time it is. That's right. It's time for your number one talk show, The Culture Call, with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3, 790 WTSK. This is indeed the place, what? Well, Tuscaloosa meets the world. And, of course, for the next 2 hours, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., we're going to be talking a little bit about, everything from society to sports, education to economics, from religion to relationships. Absolutely. We want to make sure that we cover the whole gamut. As always, this is a safe space to have empowering, provocative, and yes, controversial conversations. And guess what? You can call in and chat it up with us as we learn together right here on The Culture Call. Shout out number one. Y'all know how this goes. Welcome to all of our new listeners, all of you who this is your first time hearing about or listening to The Culture Call. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, sir, to the CC family. We are so glad and grateful to have you on this journey with us on this morning. And I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. So I don't know who you heard it from, maybe your cousin, your mama, your brother, your daddy, whoever it was. Grateful that you are a part of this journey with us. Buckle up. Yeah, buckle up. We sometimes have a little turbulence, but hey, we make it down all right. Absolutely. Shout out number two to all of our faithful, consistent, committed listeners to The Culture Call. Want to say thank you. We would not be what we are without you. Yes, you make sure that you encourage us, and you encourage me when you see me in person, in the grocery store, in the mall, at the restaurant. You stop me and say, hey, you doing a good job. Or, I heard you say what you said the other day, man. You something else. Hey, that's my job, to be something else. Right, so that our community won't be late, last, or lost. That's my purpose. That's my mission. That's my goal. So thank you so much for making sure that we are on the air and remain number one with your help and your assistance. Now, Brother Jace told y'all to treat me good, and I know that you always do. You always do. Shout out number three, last but not least, Brother Jay. We give him a big shout out. I'm telling you, he is the man with the plan that causes us to cruise right on in from 5 a.m. all the way up to 10 and handing me this baton and telling me, hey, run on to see what the end is going to be. Listen, he is a blessed man, a favorite man, a man of wisdom and insight and immense revelation. And I am just so grateful to be a part of whatever he is a part of, because, listen, he's the man that makes it happen. Listen, I want to make sure that you have our app. How do you do that, Bishop? Glad that you asked. Go ahead and take out your Apple or your Android device, your phone. I know it's already in your hand. And if you have not done so already, go to your app store and search out Praise 93.3 FM. There you're going to find an app. That's right, a free 99 app. Doesn't cost you a thing. Download that on your phone, on your device, and guess what? You can hear us from all around the country, all around the world. That's right. We want to make sure that you know and keep up with all of the amazing programming that we have here at Praise 93.3 and WTSK. We want to make sure that you have that available to you at all times. We know that you're in transit, you're very busy, and we take your time very, very seriously. So we put it in a doggy bag, and you can go, you can be in the restroom, you can be at lunch, whatever you're doing. Go ahead and slap those earphones in, if you can't get to your radio or something else where you can hear us, go ahead and be a part of the digital feature. We have amazing programming here. Again, Brother Jay in the morning and the Culture Call. We have Brother Chris, Sister Sandra. You have all the wonderful things. My dear sister, Sister Darlene, at night, late at night. Listen, I need you to go ahead and get that app. So if you're listening, in Detroit, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, Charleston, South Carolina, or just maybe right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Mobile, Birmingham, Montgomery, Huntsville, Gordo, Utah, Boulder G, Reform, Aliceville, doesn't matter where you are. You can hear what we're doing here on Praise 93.3. Listen, I need you. I implore you. I beg of you. Go ahead and send me your public service announcements and events to culturecall.praise@gmail.com. That's culturecall.praise@gmail.com, and give me an opportunity to let Lottie Dottie and everybody know the wonderful things that's happening at your church, your organization, in your sorority, your fraternity. Maybe you're sponsoring something that the community can come to. Maybe you're an artist that's getting ready to have a concert, or a preacher, pastor getting ready to run a revival. Listen, I want to put some faces in the place so that you can have a crowd there. That's right, so that we can enjoy the wonderful things that you do for our community. Do you know why? Because we do it better when we do it together. I need you to go ahead. I know you have that, again, your computer or your device. Go ahead and follow me on Facebook, Culture Call, The Culture Call. Go ahead and do that. All you got to do is press that like button, and we've been having an influx of people already following us. That's right. We want to get to at least 1,000 this week, a little bit more than 1,000 this week. So go ahead and follow The Culture Call, and I'm telling you, you will be blessed that you did. Absolutely. Listen, go ahead and take down the golden number 205-752-4800, 205-752-4800, and call into the show or be a part of the conversation via the chat on the app. That's right. Many of you are at work during this hour, but you're still listening, but you can't call. I totally understand. But go ahead and get that app so you can chat it up with me and let me know how you feel about the subject matter and what we're talking about from day to day. Yeah, it's important because we shape our programming around your needs and your desires. So go ahead and do that. Listen, I am grateful for each and every last one of you, and I would love to hear from you. Sit back and relax. That's right. Get you some coffee. You know how we do it here, Maxwell House or Starbucks. Yeah, when I'm drinking coffee, caramel macchiato is my favorite. Listen, you don't do coffee, go and get you some tea, chamomile tea if you're trying to calm down, and a little green tea if you're trying to get that caffeine kick that will help you get to, the lunch hour. And if coffee or tea are not your thing, you always can get some water. Always can get some water. Spring water, alkaline water. Get detox, flush that body out, wake those cells up, and let's get into the culture. Family. We are yet in election season, and I'm telling you, it's about 28, 27 more days until November 5th. I lose count of the calendar sometimes, but hey, we are closer than we've ever been before. And there is still time. If you're in the state of Alabama, it's still time for you to register to vote. All you got to do is go to iwillvote.com. That's right, iwillvote.com, and go ahead and check your registration. If you're not registered, please do. Please, ma'am, please, sir. This is not the time for you to say, this is the lesser of two evils. You know, we get so moralistic and we get so righteous and pious around this time because we want the righteous candidate and saints and different ones. The Bible tells me that the perfect candidate, if you will, was standing in the court of Pontius Pilate with another candidate, Barabbas, and the folk chose Barabbas. They said, give us Barabbas. That's what they said. So all of this, the two sides of the same coin, and one of lesser evils and all that. No. Don't get like that now. No, because that's not how we operate all the time. We select what we know is best for us, even when that thing might not be the best for us. When it gets into our lives, we choose and pick every day. And so, hey, voting is important because it shapes the public dynamic. It shapes how we begin to live and formulate government in this world, and not just government, but policy and all kinds of things that will open up the access to all people or limit it, to just a very few, right? And so that's very important that we don't operate. And the minority who's trying to always keep control because they feel their grip slipping off of it. I don't care how many people they are million-wise, hear me now, that they are the minority. Facts. They are the minority, right? And this country has been set up so that we get an opportunity to have a voice our opinion. Shame on the state of Alabama that's been adjudicated by the Civil Rights Department of the Justice Department of the United States, Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, because they're trying to drop people from the rolls less than 90 days from the election. And that is against the law. That is illegal. They're doing it right here in this state. Now, we understand. See, here's what they think folks don't understand. We understand that dead people can't vote and that there is a purge of voting rolls every, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, of people who are deceased and no longer with us, right? And that's cool, right? Because here's what we do know. There is documentation of it that we have from Social Security and all these different kinds of things of who has been deceased, right? But it's the living ones. It's the living ones that they're dropping off as well. And here is the sad part. The living ones always look like me and you. They always look like us. And so that is highly problematic. Don't you think, Culture Call? That's highly problematic. So please, ma'am, please, sir, go ahead and check your registration, check your polling place, know and equip yourself with the knowledge that you need before November 5th. This is a pivotal election. This election, I'm going to say this and stand 10 toes down on it. This election is not about policy, beloved. This election is about democracy. It is about whether we have a country or whether we turn into a dictatorship or an oligarch or autocracy, right? Where just a person or a few people, a monarchy kind of situation. And folks say, well, monarchy is not that bad. You don't know because you never lived under one, right? You never lived under king, right? And even though they honor that in Great Britain, long ago, they removed the kings and the queens from political rule. It's just a rule of honor in that country, right? It's a rule of honor, that all of that. But they have no political say in what happens. No, that's not how that works anymore. And so, you have ignorant people who've never been under that kind of rule, dictatorship. Now, listen, if you like a dictatorship, my goodness, there's so many other places that you could go, but you know why you don't go there? Because you really don't want that. But there's so many people who have been deceived and misinformation. This has been, Culture Call, hear me now. This has been one of the highest elections with misinformation and disinformation from foreign countries, from Russia, from China, from Iran. All of those countries are sending out disinformation on Twitter, social media, on Facebook, you name it. They are putting out lies and watch this, and the lies, are favoring one side. So you have to stop and ask yourself, why is only one side lying? Well, that's what minorities do when, the minority does when it wants to keep its power, right? It has already, which means they've already been in cahoots and coercions and all those different kinds of things with other foreign entities and things of that nature, right? And so it is important for us to get out, black folks, and vote. Let me say it again. It's important for us, white folks, black folks, Latinx, all of those, Hispanics, everybody, get out and vote. Prepare yourself to vote. This is a pivotal election. We have a lot of Republicans that are moving on to, on the Democratic side because they're recognizing that this election is not about policy. Let me say it again, y'all. This election, and this is what I came on to talk about today, but I'm going to move on. But let me just put again, this is not about policy. This is about democracy. It's about the kind of country we really want to have. We'll talk about policy when we get a sane parties, a Republican Party and a Democratic Party. When I was growing up, there were sane people who just had opposing views on how the country should be run. No, this is not this. This is not that. And you need to be aware that this is not that, Culture Call. Absolutely. I'm going to always make sure that I tell you the truth. This is not that. This election cycle is not that, right? And do not cede and do not think that this is because we live in Alabama or in the South that this is a red state. No, it will quickly turn the way we need it to turn if all the black people vote. If all of us get out and vote. So that's exactly what I'm doing. If everybody will get out and vote, then you'll be surprised. So many surprises are about to be seen in this election. So many surprises, and I'm hoping that at the end of the day, sane people with good sense will win. That's my prayer. That's my prayer. I don't know why it is such a why it is such a difficult decision and why it's so close. I don't understand it. That there's something about this country that has lost its moral value and its moral way, and every day we pray for truth and sound-mindedness to enter into the conversation, because once that happens, then we will know that we will protect our democracy and we will move forward. Also, I want to go and set the framework today. So much going on, to pray for those who are in the path of Hurricane Milton. Man, a Category 5. I don't know if in my lifetime I think the max that I've ever heard about was a Category 4. I'm trying to think about was Hugo, because I'm from South Carolina, Charleston, that area. Was Hugo a Category 5? I think Hugo might have been a Category 5, because it literally decimated the city of Charleston and the surrounding areas. Well, one of those are coming toward Florida. And so those of you who know the words of prayer, those of you who are intercessors, those of you who have family there, go ahead and get on your knees if they've not decided to leave. And, let me say this. I know many people say, well, we've been through hurricanes before. But when the weatherman starts crying, it's time for you to get up out and go north. Get in your car, get some gas, and take your family somewhere out of the path of this hurricane. And nobody expected it to increase this, become this powerful this quickly. But it is expected to hit tomorrow or today. And we pray for the wisdom of everyone, because again, here it is. Warning comes before destruction. And so if you're going to be the ones that, well, I'm going to stay here. Well, okay. We just had a hurricane, and we saw people who said, well, I'm just going to stay here. And there was no more here now, right? And those people unfortunately lost their lives going up into the 200s, close to 250. And right. So let's use wisdom. Let's pray that God will give wisdom, right? Not just protection, because wisdom is the protection if you would use it. Let me say that again, that wisdom is the protection if you would use it. So let's make sure, Culture Call, that in our prayer meetings, in our Bible studies, and our Sunday morning services, that we are strategically covering those who are in the path of Milton. It's supposed to be a heck of a hurricane that is coming through to hit the western side of Florida, the Gulf side of Florida. So let's do that. Listen, what I want to talk about today is, in times like these, I got a text this morning from one of my friends, and they were asking about emotions and being really sensitive in this time. And I told them, hey, you're not by yourself. There's an oversensitivity, because there's so much going on. There's so much going on. And because none of us, at least we shouldn't be, live in a cave or in a vacuum or a cocoon anywhere. All of us are, or most of us, let me say that, are experiencing this convergence of times, right? We're experiencing, the actions don't just happen. Actions also bring feelings. Times, the election, the storms, economy, racism, all these things have affectives, emotions, feelings attached to them. It is amazing, because it's a part of in creation where we're able to sense something. That's why God gave us a soul, right? That we can begin to sense and discern our surroundings and the happenings that are going on, right? Even when you look at the sons of Issachar in, 1 Chronicles 12, when you begin to look at them, that they understood the times, and they knew what Israel ought to do. They knew what to do because they began to sense and discern the times. And a lot of what we're calling emotionalism and hypersensitivity is that, I believe that God has given us the ability, hear me now, to sense the time, sense the shift, sense the change, sense the movement, sense the changing of the guard. If we look at everything that's going on, a lot of people are transitioning. A lot of our legends in particular areas are transitioning, and which means that there's a new regime of leadership, a new order, a new authority, a new frame of reference, a new mindset that's getting ready to come on the scene, and it's important. And all those things bring feelings. It brings feelings to your relationships. It brings feelings to your children, to you, especially if you're centered around any of those areas in education. There's some sensitivities there. If you're centered around politics and all of that, there's just a convergence of time. It's what Paul would call in the scriptures a euroclydon. It's a kind of a storm, a convergence of waters, right? And one of the things that we need to understand is that if we're going to live, we will have these experiences. If we're going to thrive and have access and think toward the future, then we're going to have to learn how to deal with these emotional occurrences that happen in our lives. And so we need to begin to understand emotional response. What if Harris wins? Emotionally, what does that mean? What if Trump wins? What emotionally does that mean, right? Who's going to be in depression? Who's going to be, all these different kinds of things, because all of these movements come with movements. Let me say it again. That all of these movements, better yet, comes with emotions. And one of the things that Culture Call that we really need to talk about is developing, and that's what we're going to talk about today, developing emotional support. Developing emotional support, right? For the young people who are graduating that cannot find jobs. Even though, watch this, that the reality is so disconnected from the data, right? Because it's the lowest season of unemployment. It's the lowest time of unemployment, even for African Americans, who are normally on the highest part of unemployment, but it's the lowest that it has been in a while, right? And yet you have some young people who can't find jobs. You've got some people who are in their mids that cannot find places, and I'm talking about viable places of employment. I'm right. And all these different kinds of things are happening. That brings emotions, right? And they need emotional support. What happens when you have went 8 years in school, graduate, and still there is no placement in jobs? There is no employment for you. Or better yet, there's employment but no benefits. So now how I'm going to take care of health care? How I'm going to take care if you got a family? All of these different kinds of things. I was talking to young people and they were talking about getting married, the desire to get married, and they begin to say, Bishop, it's not the same way when you were growing up, like I'm old, because I'm not, but it's not like in the 90s. And I recognize that the 90s were like 30 years ago, right? My goodness, because it was the 1990s, but they began to share with me really, openly. Like, it's not building relationships and having a boyfriend and girlfriend and dating and courting and establishing, relationships that will eventually lead to marriage and children. Oh, my God, children. It's not that they don't want them, but they are so emotionally connected to the uncertainty of the time that they can't even chart. They can't even chart what their tomorrow is going to look like. Watch this. And here's what I tell them, that tomorrow is not promised, right? Tomorrow is a prophesied movement, right? Which requires prophetic imagination, right? Which means I just simply got to be able to see tomorrow. The past, you can't do anything about, because none of us can rewind time. So all you have now is now. All you have is the present moment, right? Let's try to compartmentalize where we are emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. Let's compartmentalize it for just a moment to the present moment, right? Because the now is the bridge to tomorrow. That if you are not a proper steward over your now, then I promise you you probably won't even see tomorrow, or you'll see tomorrow in a totally different aspect and reference point than what God had designed and destined for your life. So how are you appropriating the now? So you got to learn then that all of this, according to the text, Genesis 4, that time was created on Genesis 4. So then that means that day 1, 2, 3, God didn't need time to create. The problem is we do. We need time. We need time to create. We need time to live, time to explore, time to mature. We need all of that, Culture Call. And if we don't get that, it will cause us to be, unknowledgeable about tomorrow, right? Because tomorrow is unforgiving. Because tomorrow is like, well, you had time to prepare. Well, okay, but I was so busy worried about tomorrow, that I didn't prepare adequately today. And now today is past, and the tomorrow is today, and I'm still no better. That's because we don't do what Genesis 4, that God gave time so that we could know the changes in the seasons. And he's not talking about just clocks and calendars on the wall. He's not talking about pocket projectors, but the understanding the differences. You can sense a difference. You can, it's almost a part of how we are almost akin to animals with this word instinct. That the study showed scientifically that when the last hurricane that was approaching, that just hit, and Hurricane Helene, that the animals will go up in the trees. That animals that would normally be on the ground went up instinctively in the trees because they sensed, they felt like this was going to be a horrible storm. While humans, who are supposed to be the apex of intelligence of God's creation, stayed on the ground trying to brave it. Yeah, they got swept away. They got drowned, because in nature, animals understand, they can sense the times and seasons. And we don't call them they don't call them emotional. We just says that they understand the times. And I want to bring a level of articulation, prime articulation, to many of you that are listening to me that are feeling different, that have been feeling on edge, that have been really sensitive, that you've been really emotional, doing commercials, doing relationships, all these different kinds of things, doing cooking. Your mind is just thinking about so many things. I'm going to tell you there's nothing wrong with you. What I am going to say there, however, is that it is a time and a sign. Your emotions are telling you it's time to manage me and shift positions, change positions. It's time for you to watch and to look and to discern where you are in life. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be, late, last, and lost. And when I say lost, I'm talking about lost eternally. Look at the landscape. People who, I think it was Brown from Tyler Perry, Mr. Brown, that says people dying who ain't never died before. And God says, watch this, so that you won't think it's just older people. It's young, old. It just seems to be, because you know what? I believe what the signs of the time is telling us is to treat life as precious, treat life as intentful, as we must need treated, right? Those emotions are not just something for you to be like, oh, I don't know, I'm just so emotional today. No, pay attention to it, because those things are announcing a shift and a movement in your life. Today, we're going to be talking about emotional support and emotional health to deal with the times. Right here on the Culture Call. That's right. With yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, Praise 93.3, 790 WTSK.
This is a world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, Praise 93.3 FM and 790 WTSK. Listen, we are having a heavy conversation this morning about emotional support and how do we make it through these seasons. As I told you in the first part of the show, that I had a text early this morning about a young man, we are great friends, good brother of mine, just asking, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with this hypersensitivity? And I was sharing with him, hey, first of all, he asked, am I by myself? Because it was a group chat. and he was trying to figure out, was he by himself? And one of the things that I wanted to tell him, and that I did, not wanted to, but I did tell him, no, you're not by yourself, that we are living in an amazing time. And times come with feelings, right? Times come with feelings. In the past, it's called nostalgia, that you can recognize a song or a smell or go to a place, and you don't just go there physically, but you also go there, what? Emotionally. You start feeling that place. You know, when you go to your old church, or you go to the family reunion, or you see an old flame, an old girlfriend, boyfriend, right? This past week, my class, the class of 89, high school class, had their 35th reunion. And unfortunately, I couldn't be there because I was away in ministry. But every picture I felt, when I looked at the album that they put online, I looked at it and I remember everybody's face. I could tell who was in my class and who wasn't. And my wife was sitting by me, and she was like, how do you know? They might have grown older or whatever. No, I was like, no, that person right there. Because when I saw certain people, I could feel that emotion. I could feel the time that we had. I went right back to being in high school. And see, if we don't get an understanding of that culture call, especially sometimes as spiritual people, and we're not taught or given insight to handle our emotions and sensitivities, then we will not knowingly. Well, I want to say knowingly because we know we're doing it, but we will unwittingly, right? We won't skillfully know how to manage and deal with our emotions, and we'll put them to the side as if our emotions are anathema to what God is doing in the spirit. And so, yeah, and it's not. It's not. It's not a Hebraic concept. It's not a Greek concept, right? The whole idea is that God did make us body, soul, and spirit. And, you know, when we go to church, they do a whole lot of work on our spirit. Salvation, you know, regeneration, justification, redemption. We do a whole lot with our spirit. But Paul gives us insight right there in Romans 12, verse 2. I was going to say 1 and 2, but no, verse 2, where he says, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that element that learns how to discern, that element that learns how to feel, right? There's a lot of passages in the scriptures that talk about, you know, our lust and our passions and our desires, right? And if you're not understanding what Paul is saying, you would think that he's demonizing emotions. He's demonizing feelings. He's demonizing all of these things, because we know as religious people, we pit our feelings and our emotions against the spirit, when in fact, scripturally and philosophically, theologically, those two are to work together, right? Now, the soul ought not overrun the spirit, right? As the writer says in Hebrews, that the word of God is quick, powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword. It's a living document, right? But it's able to divide soul from spirit, right? That's not because the soul is evil. It is just because the soul can get overwhelmed with emotions and feelings and its own perceptions and discernments, that it overrides spiritual instructions or spiritual inclination. But in a healthy context, they work together. Let me try it again. In a healthy context, they work together, right? And I have pain, so I know how to pray, right? So, right, I had pain, so I start believing in healing, right? So it's it works together, right? And so we don't teach each other that as times go on and as events happen, every moment that you and I spend living, every place that we go, we will feel that place. That place carries, yes, a certain emotional connection to it, right? Have you ever walked into a restaurant and you just felt something was off? You just, you hadn't sat down, you haven't eaten yet, and as a matter of fact, you got to the table and like, I don't know if I want to stay here. And it's not because I don't like what's on the menu. It's just that I feel something here that your emotions and that sensitivity is telling you, yeah, you might want to get out of here, or you might want to leave, or this is not the place for you to be right now, right? We ignore that and we say something told me, right? As if it's only spiritual. But no, it's not just that. It's your spirit and your emotions and your soul trying to make you understand, that this is not the place, or this is not the person that I need to be around. This is not the one who I need to go out on the date with. This is not the person that I need to be in my prayer group. This is not the person that I need to be texting and group chatting, because they come with a certain feeling. They come with a certain emotion, right? And now I know this might sound deep, but it really is not. It is bringing us into the context or in the reality that you've got to learn how to manage your emotions, because you have them. God, I don't care, you can get on your knees all day and pray. God is not going to take that away from you. When he says peace, right? When he says peace, he's not talking to your spirit. He's talking to your emotional factor. Because your spirit, come closer, your spirit can already know what he's going to do, right? But in your mind, you're anxious. When he says be anxious for nothing, he's not talking about your spirit. He's talking about your mind. He's talking about your emotion. Calm down, right? Calm down, pray about it. Calm down, go walk outside, get some sunlight, right? And here it is, your blood pressure and all these different kinds of systems in your body are being affected by your lack of emotional management. That one of the things that I personally, I'm going to let you in my world, I am personally working on inside of me is getting my emotions in check. Because I don't know if it's because I'm a musician. I don't know what it is because of that, right? I don't know what it is, but I feel everything. When I listen to music, I feel it. When I'm listening to anything, it creates something. And it's been like that for me a while. Since I can remember, when I say a while, since I've been a child. I feel preaching like that. I feel music like that. I feel anything art like that. I feel relationships like that. I know when I meet a person, if they are for me, right? And that's not just because the Holy Spirit is telling me and whispering into my ear. No, I also can feel, we call it discernment. Okay, but whatever it is, it's emotional and spiritual discernment, right? Right? Because there's just something, right? And I know we like to relegate everything to the spirit, and I get it. I understand where that theology, I understand where that philosophy comes in. I promise you, I get it. But here is the reality. The reality is it's both your soul and spirit that's informing your body. Yeah, this ain't where you need to be, or this is just right for you, right? I feel at home. I feel comfortable talking to you. You see? And again, feelings are not good leaders apart from the spirit. Let me say that. I'll say that feelings are not good leaders apart from the spirit, but your feelings and emotions inform you of the atmosphere of where you are, of the times and the seasons and the changes that are happening, right? And so, number one, I told that person this morning, hey, don't be afraid to feel. They're a preacher and all these different kinds of things, and I get it. I understand it, but be informed. Don't be afraid to have emotions. Jesus cried. Jesus wept over the city. He was emotional. He had emotions when he went into the temple to whip out the money changers, to clean out the temple from the money changers and those who were taking advantage of people during the time of sacrifice. So he had emotions there, right? He's not a person that is void of emotions. The scripture tells us he was moved with compassion, right? That's not a spiritual context in and of itself. That is an emotional context. I'm able to look at this individual or look at these people, and they move me with passion, to movement, to do something, to act a certain way, right? And so it's important that you begin to acknowledge your emotions. Let me tell you why. Because if you don't, Culture Call, if you do not appropriately acknowledge your emotions, those emotions will raise up on you at the wrong time because they've never been disciplined. They've never been brought into the sanctuary of your life, whereby you learn how to partner those emotions with a Holy Spirit, with a spirit that has been edified, that has been fed the word, that has been fed the way, right? Here's what the Bible says. Be angry. That's emotions. But what? Don't sin. You see, that's your spirit. Let me try it again. You see, it's right there. It's right there. Sometimes we don't look at it. Sometimes we don't see it that way, that Culture Call. And this might seem a little Bible study-ish or a little churchy-ish, but this is just the best way that I can get you to contextualize it in your life, to make sure that you understand. Be angry, yes, and sin not, right? Be angry, emotion, get your emotions in check. Here it is. Go on, be angry. Go ahead. They did wrong. That thing happened. That thing hurt you. Be angry. Yes. That doesn't mean for you not to, praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Okay. All right. Because you can be angry and not offended. That's where the sin not comes in. I'm angry, but I can still forgive. I'm angry emotionally, but I can still pray for you spiritually. I'm angry because of the actions you took against me. You treated me unfairly. Emotionally, I'm hot. But spiritually, yeah, I'm going to pray for you. Pray for those that despitefully use me. Right? I'm not going to let my emotions just run away. Ooh, she fine. She's beautiful. Man, Doc, you see her? Yeah, that's emotions. There ain't no spiritual. Listen. Do you see her? She's beautiful. I'm talking about aesthetics and everything. She is beautiful, right? But I'm not going to lust and to lead to objectification and fornication. I'm not going to do that. I can emotionally acknowledge that she moves me with her beauty. But I can also spiritually acknowledge that I'm not going to let my emotions lead me down a path that's going to cause me to lose my character, my integrity, my witness. You see how that works? And so that's what I'm saying. You got to learn how to do emotional management. Yes, I am mad at my child, but I'm not going to abuse them. I'm not going to abuse them. I'm not going to take an iron and knock them upside the head. I'm not going to take a pool stick or a broomstick and beat them so badly that I break a bone or put whelps on them. That's abuse. I've let my emotions drive me to the place where I hurt something that I love. I hurt something that come out of me. That's God's future. That I just abused that and gave it a black eye. And now I'm telling them this hurts me more than it hurts you. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. That's a lie. I don't know who made that up, but that's a LIE. That's a fabrication. Absolutely. I'm just trying to get you to understand what I'm saying and clear objectification. You can be, but you got to have emotional management. You can be mad at your boss, but show your hips up to work tomorrow. Right? You can be mad at your coworker, but you're not going to set their desk on fire. That means you lack emotional management. If you do all that, you deserve to be in jail. Because jail is a lot of times for people who have no emotional management. They let their emotions get the best of them. They killed somebody. They robbed somebody. They did something that they weren't supposed to do. They let their emotions get the best of them to unfettered, and untethered to the Spirit's guidance. Right? And so that's very important. Right? You can be mad at your spouse, but that don't mean that because you're mad, you're going to get a divorce, you're going to leave and go to somebody else. No. Get your emotions in check. Say, I'm upset with you right now. I'm upset with you right now. It's going to pass, but I ain't going to let you stay. I'm not going to let you go hungry. You going to not cook for the man because you mad? Right? You're going to let her walk in the rain and not open the door for her without providing her an umbrella because you mad? Because you upset? No. Get your emotions in check I'm still going to hold the door for you. I'm still going to make sure you don't get messed up in the rain. Yeah. Yeah, tonight I might sleep with my back to you. We'll fix it in the morning. And the Bible said, let the sun go down on your wrath. I'm not in wrath. It ain't even got to that point yet. No, we just need to have a conversation. But you see, what I'm trying to tell you is that so many people are not handling these times well because why? They lack emotional management. They lack emotional management. Exactly. Right? And I mean, and you can see it. It's part of the dichotomy between even the two presidential candidates. One of them does not have good emotional management, and another one does. A report comes out you smashing ketchup bottles on the wall, you insulting people everywhere you go, right? And another one is showing compassion, right? That you done said everything. She don't have children. You don't know how that affects her. You say she's not black. You don't know how that affects her. Right? Well, she's blacker than some of the more black than some of the people that's calling her non-black who are black. That part, right? But you don't have anything that how she has to deal with all of this drivel and lies and all these different kinds of things, and she still has compassion for people. See, you can see it in real time. I've been telling y'all, pay attention to the signs. Pay attention to the signs of yourself. That you got to have proper emotional management. Right? So that when you pray tonight, because we're going to give you some solutions in the next hour. When you pray tonight, I want you to pray and say, God, help me be a better emotional manager. Help me steward over my feelings much better. Right? We're all on a journey to get better. And we're going to do it today. Got a few strategies. We're going to line it on up because we just want you to be better. Right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Keep it right here. There's more to come.
This is a world premiere.
And we are back. Hey, right here on the Culture Call. It's 11 a.m. and some change. Yeah. And we are glad to have you back with us. We want to send a shout out and welcome to all of our second hour listeners. We are so appreciative to you. Hey, we have been having a blast since 10 a.m. And I am glad that you are on the CC plane. Yeah, we're still cruising at an altitude that's safe for everybody, at least for now. Talking about emotional management. Man, I'm telling you, this is a conversation that is long overdue. I just finished texting a friend and, I'm telling you, it's all over the place. You are not alone, Culture Call. You're sitting at your desk trying to, at home or driving and you're trying to wipe tears and all that kind of stuff. I get it because it's a sensitive time. But hey, guess what? Come closer. There is nothing wrong with you. I promise you, there is not. There isn't anything wrong with you. We're just not used to being honest and watch this, not just honest, but instructed with regards to our emotions and our sensitivities. We let them run crazy. We let them run free and get us into situations and circumstances that, we could have avoided. But because we lack that emotional intelligence, we lack that emotional management. Because, again, I don't care in and or out of church. Matter of fact, back up. It's happening now a lot out of church, but here is the problem. The problem with that is it has no spiritual element, right? And then, of course, on the other side, you have church that just talks about the spirit and wants to make you feel like your emotions and your sensitivities are Satan or demonic or devilish when they're not. That they make up the full, complete of who you are. It is in Him that we live, we move, and we have our being. That's a three. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. That's another three, right? A divine triplet. Body, spirit, soul, body. That's another triplet, right? And so this whole idea of just ignore your emotions and put it on the mind. No, absolutely not. No, you need to be properly instructed on how to manage what? Your emotions. You got to learn how to manage your emotions. There is nothing wrong with you. I promise you it's not. It might feel like it is, but there is nothing wrong with you. You just got to learn how, yes, to manage your emotions, bro. And manage your emotions, sis. You got to do it. Why? Because if you don't do it, what's going to happen is that your emotions going to get the best of you one day. Oh, you ignoring me? It's a shame to be 40 and 50, but your emotions are still 10 and 12. Say it in here. Say it again. I will. It's a dangerous thing for you to be 40 and 50 and 60, and your emotions are still 10 and 12, right? It's a shame because I meet people like that every day. That their emotional management is so low, it's abysmal. But now I'm trying to approach them with respect because they're older than me. They're in their upper 50s and early 60s, and you're looking at people whose emotions are just not healthy. That's because, and these people go to church all the time. But here's the deal. Because of how we have taught it in church, one of the things that I've learned how to do is partner with a counselor, partner with people who are both Christian and work with emotions in the mind. And I'm telling you, that's something that we've got to talk about in church, right? And most pastors and preachers aren't equipped to do that, so they ignore it or they demonize it. But the truth of the matter is, a full life happens when you are able to manage them all. Let me say that again. A full life can only be experienced when you learn how to take care of your body, your soul, your emotions, and your spirit. You got to learn how to do that, right? And so, I was just telling my friend, hey, you're going to be okay. This is a rough time of year for me too. He was telling me my house we're dealing with grief and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, hey, it's a rough day for me too. It's rough around these seasons of getting closer to the holidays. I miss my dad. I miss my mom, something terrible. I miss my family. And I'm looking at the family dynamic change because I'm getting older too, and my children don't have, spouses and families that they can bring over to the house. So I don't even have what my parents have, right? And then I'm watching, the legends passed away. We've had so many legends in various areas of industry pass away that, you all know that one of my favorite sitcoms would get Good Times to see John Amos. That's going to always be my James Evans to me. To see John Amos pass away or to find out that he passed away was a lot because it brought back memories that when Esther Rowe, Florida Evans passed away, and Janae Dubois, Walona passed away, right? It brings all that back up into your mind. And so all of those emotions, I remember, I'm sitting there looking on a Sunday morning or on an everyday rather, just looking at the good times, not necessarily wanting to be in their condition, but just looking at their condition and becoming a part of their condition. It was a great part of my childhood, that they had city poor. I was country poor. Right? They had city ghetto. I had country ghetto, if there'd be such a thing, right? But you're looking at childhood favorites. We just lost Sissy Houston, which was Whitney Houston's mom. So now you got, when you're dealing with Sissy, you also reimagine or relive the passing of Whitney. And then you got to understand that Whitney lost Bobby Christina, her daughter. So there's a whole lot of emotions that are happening right now. And one of the things that we cannot do is ignore them as if they are not happening. First of all, that's not fair to the times and the seasons. You can adjust. You can't, because I believe that every death is giving us a sense of urgency. Let me say it again. Every death gives us a sense of urgency. Everyone. It causes us to focus on, after the tears have dried and after the other fleeting emotions have lifted, it causes us to pay attention to our now. Oh, there's some things I got to do. I can't play no more. I got to do X, Y, Z. I got to be about my business, right? And so when we talk about strategies of how to navigate and deal with this emotional movement, this emotional storm, this emotional sensitivity, if you will, how do we manage that? The first thing you must do, here it is. Number one is you've got to acknowledge it. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that I'm feeling a certain kind of way. Acknowledge that I'm struggling with this grief. Acknowledge that I'm anxious about relationships. I'm afraid to love again. Acknowledge it. I'm afraid. I'm concerned about how I'm going to pay my bill. Right? I know you're trying to step off into the spirit real quick. I get it. Be anxious for nothing. God is not. Okay, but here it is. Here it is. That God gives us these covenant names. He gives us these texts to instruct us because he knows we're going to feel this. He knows we're going to go through all this. He was at all points touched with the feelings of our infirmities, right? And so that's the kind of high priest the text says that we have. So it's nothing wrong to acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you're still upset about your dad passing away or your spouse divorcing you or your mom going through a struggle. Your mom having this Alzheimer's or dementia, she struggled. Acknowledge that. Acknowledge that you're tired because now you're a caregiver. There's nothing, that doesn't make you feel bad. I mean, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That means that you're human. That means that because if you don't acknowledge, you cannot repair. Let me try it again. If you can't acknowledge, you can't fix. You can't fix what you don't face. Right? And so, yes, the first thing, if we're going to get to working on our emotional management, is that we, must needs acknowledge that that's where I am. I'm hypersensitive. I am, Here's the next thing. In your acknowledgement, the next thing you got to do is make sure that you are surrounded by a safe environment. Now, Bishop, what does that mean? Glad that you asked. A safe environment. You have got to be connected to a safe environment that you can express your emotions. You can express your feelings, and that person won't try to make you feel like you're not a believer anymore, or you're hellbound and you don't have faith. All those things that they genuflect to when you show them humanity. That's not a safe space. That's not a safe space. Even you find yourself a safe space, even if at the end of the safe space we pray about it, or we meditate on some scriptures about it. You still need a place where you can tell your truth without being attacked, that you can be honest and transparent without feeling like I am someone that is beneath. No, absolutely not. That is not who you are. The reality is that once you feel that, you'll feel the burden lifting when you can share. You'll feel your emotions shifting when you can share it in a safe space, right? That this is a safe space. Now, when I say that, that's a whole lot, because you have to recognize that you can't acknowledge. Watch me. You can't acknowledge all your stuff if the place ain't safe. You can acknowledge and keep it within you, especially if you're around people. They might be friends, but they're not safe for what we're talking about right now. Right? I would talk to mama, but mama ain't a safe space. And I would talk to daddy, but he ain't a safe space. Because watch this. Drum roll, please. I don't always want to hear scripture. I just want you to let me talk. I need you to let me tell you how I feel. Well, over there in Thessalonica, I don't need to hear that. Paul wrote about that, or when he was talking to Timothy in the 2 Timothy. I don't want to hear that. Just sit and listen to me. Listen to these things that are making me anxious. Listen to these things, the nuances of my life. And while you're listening, reassure me that I'm still a person of faith. People with faith, come closer, still have feelings. Lord have mercy. Y'all still all right? Come on, Coach Carl. People with faith still have feelings. People with faith still can be hurt. People with faith still can have their heart broken. People with faith can still try to figure out how they're going to juggle things. People with faith does not mean that you won't feel life. You won't feel relationship. You won't feel a void. That's not what this is about. No, you're never going to get to proper emotional stewardship and management if you can't feel what you feel in a safe space and nobody's stoning you or throwing rocks at you or, spraying you with holy water or making, Catholic crosses, and saying Hail Marys. No, you got to speak in tongues. I just told you that I'm going through a rough season. Yeah, my shot. I don't need to hear all that. I don't want to hear your tongues today. I want you to sit with me and acknowledge that you've been there too. That there is nothing wrong with me for feeling this way. You're still a man of faith and power. You're still a woman of faith and power. You're still the favorite of God. But I understand you're feeling some things. I get it. I get it. Because I've been there too. So you have to find a safe space to get what is in you out of you. You can acknowledge it on the first level. Yes, acknowledge it, admit it to yourself, and speak about it to yourself. But there's a relief. There is a depressurizing when you can find a safe space to acknowledge this is how I feel. You feel what I'm saying? You got to learn how to do that. Here's the third thing. The third thing is once you find that safe space, here's the be honest. Don't try to be the hero in this, right? Because you'll get around people and it's a safe space, but then you still have this thing on you that still has to make yourself look good or make yourself look righteous or make yourself look holy. Okay. All right. That's not why you're here. Be honest. That means if you got to cry, if you got to tear up, yeah, get around people that you can be honest. If you got to say, hey, y'all, I just don't have no answers. I don't have no solutions. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. I don't even know what this means. I don't know if I want to stay. I don't know what all of that. All of that. You can say all of that. Find you a place where you can do that. Because if you don't, remember what I just said, it's going to come back to haunt you. It's going to come back to haunt you. And your friends, watch this, the safe space will have a perspective of you that is not really true. They'll have a perception of, well, they don't need me. Or you're going to make it, because I get it. I've been basically around religious people, sanctified people, spiritual people all my life. And I have studied how they have gone and how they have experienced, grief and hurt and pain. Right? Without acknowledging it, acknowledging that something did hurt me. That's why I'm grateful for David. David is one who knows, and I'm talking about biblical David, King David. His Psalms speak of that. This is why I'm grateful for Jeremiah, especially in Lamentations, that he is able to be honest about how he feels. That's why I'm grateful for books like Habakkuk that ask God why and how long, what did I do wrong? Right? And be honest. Be honest. This is how I feel. Because your body is going to experience the effects, not your spirit. Your body is going to experience the effects of you being dishonest. Your spirit will as well. But your body, it will start releasing chemicals. It will start your blood pressure, your desire to overeat sugar is going to trigger a different kind of response, right? Because you are not being honest about how you feel and your emotions. Absolutely. You got to be honest. You got to have that because listen, if you're going, I don't remember, I was sitting in a class or something and somebody said, if you're going to lie to your support system, what is there to support? If you're not going to be honest with your support system, with the people who you said are safe, if you're going to lie and put on all of that, then why are we here? Look, they'll walk away feeling like you don't need them and that, there's nothing to support. Period. No, there ain't nothing to support. We good. We good now. Uh-huh. All right, you gonna be all right? All right. All right, we going. No. Honestly, I'm sick and tired. Right? Right. Here's the fourth one. The first one is acknowledge. The second one is find you a safe place. The third one is be honest in that safe place. Here's the fourth place. Get a strategy to move beyond. Get a strategy to move beyond where you are emotionally. Right? I'm honest about it. Okay, cool. But what's the strategy to move beyond it? Because here's what I want to tell you. That you may walk through that season for a while. You might walk through that season for a while, and you'd be like, I was talking to someone that lost somebody really dear to them, and it was like 3 years later, and like I'm still walking through this season. And I'm like, I get it. I lost my mom. I get it. I get it. I understand. But I have to have a strategy of how I'm going to live with this. Live beyond this emotional moment. How am I going to do that? What am I going to do? Yeah. That means that you got to begin to confront the areas of your lack of focus. Because if you focus on that emotion, on those emotions, then those will be the things, the Lord of your life. They will become your idols, how you feel. And you will get mad and upset with everyone that does not bow to your idol. You see what I'm saying? Because that safe space, remember, is not everybody that you have to come in contact with. There are literally, and I tell pastors and preachers this all the time. There are people that do not care about how you feel. They just don't. It's not in their wheelhouse to care about you. Because in their mind, they feel like you're such a this and this and that and this and that their concerns are the only one that, is the only thing that's important to them. Right? See, we have to lead and pastor people who lack emotional support, lack emotional management and support and all these different kinds of things. And then they want to sit up and then they want to judge you because you don't have time to bow to their idol. To their idol what? Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. No. What is your strategy? What is your strategies for moving forward? You have to find a strategy. How am I going to get beyond this? Every day I'm living in the strategy of how to survive, grief and all those other things. I'm living in that place every day. And most people will never know. Because most people are not my safe space. I'm not obligated to let them in that space. My safe space knows who my safe space is, and when it gets overwhelming to me, I'll call my safe space, our chat, and let's go to lunch or whatever, and I'll talk about it. I'll get, and then I'll remind myself of all of the things that, are a part of my now. I'll think about, but I've got this responsibility. I've got this. I've got that. And you can begin to make it through. But you've got to develop a strategy of how you're going to move forward with it. Because the emotions don't always just let you go simply because you're honest about them. Sometimes grief is one of those things that hunker down. I'm talking about it sticks with you. And I'm doing a scientific study on that. It sticks with you, especially when you lose a parent. It sticks with you. But the reality is you've got to have a strategy. How are we going to live tomorrow? Right? How are we going to live tomorrow and it's still not paid? How is it going to live tomorrow and that $10,000 check ain't in the mail? Right? How you going to live tomorrow with this confronting you? How are you going to live tomorrow and they just signed the papers to the divorce? How are you going to live tomorrow? How are you going? So you got to figure out how you're going to move on. Emotions. You don't let your emotions be the only thing that's moving. No. Emotions, you're not carrying me. I'm going to carry you where I got to go because I got some things I got to do. I got purpose I need to fulfill and destiny that needs to be resolved in my life. And I've got to, you have to cry on your way, take you some Kleenex and keep it moving. Right? Knowing that you got a support system that's safe, that when, on those days when it becomes overwhelming, you can go back there. Right? Here's the fifth one. Treat yourself well. Treat yourself well. Now, Bishop, what does that mean? Treat. I always treat myself well. Okay, all right, cool. But let me tell you what I'm talking about, though. Get over the guilt of being human. Ooh, what do you mean? That doesn't make no sense. Yes, it does. Get over the guilt, because sometimes we don't want to feel certain things, and we don't want, because we have this aspect in our minds, and we're really not kind with ourselves. We really don't love ourselves. We've not allowed God to love us in our dysfunctions and our pain and our emotional weaknesses and our emotional unintelligence. We a lot of times we are the last ones to love ourselves. When in fact, the Bible tells us that we ought to be the second one, the first one in the earth, but the second one, love God with your everything, right? Heart, mind, soul, body, and spirit. And the second is likened unto it, love your neighbor. Here's the second one. That neighbor is the third one. Love your neighbor here's the second one, as you love yourself. So that means I can only be as kind, genuinely, come closer, genuinely as kind to my neighbor as I am genuinely kind to myself. Yeah? Okay, let's try it again. It's important, because we try to love ourselves by loving other people. That's not how it works. You got to love yourself, and let how you love you teach you how to love others. Understanding that you're no different than others, and others are no different than you. Right? That's important. That's important. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Right? And part of that kindness, treating yourself well, to let you know that there's no handicap, no deficiencies, nothing is wrong with you, is, yes, talk to yourself, make confessions, validate, affirm who you are. We're gonna make it through. I know you're upset right now. I know this hurts right now, but hey, you're gonna make it through. You're still this, right? You're still that. You're still that. You know, the thing that pushes me on someday is that I knew for unequivocally that my mom and dad loved me. They loved their middle baby, right? They loved all their children, but I know for a fact they love me. They loved me. And so I can move on. Do I miss them? Yes. But can I move on? Yes. Can I still live? Yes. Why? Because I know in their love for me, they wouldn't want me to stay in a certain space. Does God love me? Yes. More than my parents did. Absolutely. God would not want me to stay in this place. Right? And so I got to treat myself better. I got to talk to myself better. I got to check myself, do some retail therapy. Ain't nothing wrong with spending a little money on you instead of bills. I said a little, not a lot now. Do stay, but put that way you can afford it. Ain't nothing wrong with going to the spa, getting you a massage, taking yourself out to a nice dinner, being around friends who love you. There's nothing wrong with that. Treat yourself better. See yourself in the sight of how God loves you. Absolutely. And you will spend the rest of your life trying to figure that one out perfectly. You feel what I'm saying? Here's the next one. Here's the next one. Last one. You ready? Learn to let things go. Now, that is the issue with emotions. Y'all ready? That's the issue with emotions, because emotions don't know how. I like to hold on to things. And you got to learn how to let things go. Learn how to let things go. You got to, do y'all hear me churn? You got to learn how to let things go. And if you don't learn that, You'll be stuck in a cycle. Nope. Let it go. Breathe. If it's over for right now or whatever, let it go. Unlatch your hands, because your hands a lot of times are symbolic of emotions. Unlatch your hands. Take the fist. Unball your fist, like the old saying said. Unball your fist and let that stress go. The stress of I hope, I wish it was better. I wish let it go. Let it go. This bill is going to be paid. I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to worry. It's going to be paid. My heart is going to mend. It hurt my heart, but it's going to mend. I got to let go of this anger. I got to let go of all this. I got to let go how they treat me. You got to let go. Forgiveness of the moment, especially in the moment where pain is involved. Forgive. Yeah, absolutely. Live in a space of forgiveness. Live in the space of forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Forgive the individual. Forgive the incident and keep living. Bring those emotions in check and say, you're not going to make me, I'm not going, nope, you're not going to rob me of any more sleep, because I'm learning how to let it go. You feel me? Culture Call. We got to definitely learn how to let it go. Listen, I need y'all to keep it right here. I got much more to come. Much more to come. We're going to land this plane. I see the runway. Keep it right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3, 790 WTSK.
This is a world premiere.
And we are back right on the Culture Call, right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3 and 790 WTSK. We are having an amazing conversation. And I hope that you're being empowered and educated to get an understanding of how we can better together, collectively, manage our emotions. Beloved, I want to tell you, we are living in such an emotional times when people are so fever pitched about their perspective and what they believe to be true and untrue. That's where we're sitting now. And we've got to learn how to best navigate these moments. And so much is going on. Every day, I talk to an individual that's going through something that they never expected would have happened to them. And I have to look at them and say, you know what? In every life, some rain must fall. But you're not. The first thing that I have to reassure them is that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Right? Tell me how you feel. Tell me what's going on the inside. Right? Because what I first want to discern as someone that often talks to people who are dealing with emotional management challenges and stewardship challenges, I want to know, what decisions are you making? What decisions have you made? What decisions are you living in right now? Yeah. Now let's move the victimization out of the equation if we can. Are you a victim of this moment? I want to get that word right. Are you a victim in this moment, right? Somebody did something to you and left you in a place where you now have to scramble to figure out life? Or did you make a decision that put you in this situation? And although you may feel some way about it, resolutely, I've got to begin to help you now. Let's deal with this on this decision-making level. Because I promise you, if you had not made that decision, then this thing wouldn't have happened. Were you left or did you walk out? Did you quit or were you fired? You see, to bring it in better context. Because we can play the victim when our emotions have made us make decisions that did not have outcomes that we predicted, before we made the decision. Because, of course, every decision has a particular outcome. You can choose your decision. You can make your decision, but you can't choose the consequences, right? And then we get so surprised when certain things happen. But Are they because of what somebody else did in reaction to what you did, or they just, just did this? You weren't looking for it. They blindsided you, X, Y, Z, ABC. That's why I said you got to be honest when you're dealing with this whole idea of emotional management and stewardship. Because one of the things that I often tell people, I tell them that if you don't sit before you do a thing, sit down in this whole idea. Sit down in these times. You sit, if you don't participate in the collective, how can you complain about the product? You can't complain where you did not participate in the collective. What decisions did you make? Because, believe it or not, that's a part of the emotional stewardship and support, that we're talking about today. It's learning how to make better decisions. Did you say the wrong thing? Right? Did you do the wrong thing? Did you act misappropriately, inappropriately? Did you, what was your part in it? Did you have any part? Because if we can get you to start there as well, see, that's why that support group is so important. Because that support group, if you're going to be honest, ain't going to let you lie to them, and they ain't going to let you lie to yourself. They're not going to lie to you. They're going to say, oh, well, okay, well, I see what's going on now. This could have been totally different, but you did X, Y, Z, ABC. Yeah, you did that. Sweet Precious, you did that. You shouldn't have done that. That wasn't smart. That wasn't wise at all. Why you said that to him? Why did you say that to her? Why? Right? And you didn't call them back to apologize. You didn't say anything. Well, I was just no. Bring that in. Bring those emotions in. Could perhaps have been a misunderstanding that has simply been, if some things had been communicated differently, it would have been, the outcomes would have been different. How about that? Did you ever think about that? That people leave you and people, break up the relationship, and then they turn back around and be like, well, I would have did it. But no, okay, if I did something to hurt you, you should have told me. You never said anything. You just thought it was the easiest thing you thought to do emotionally was leave. And you left me with questions that I couldn't answer on my own because I didn't even see this coming. Now, you waited till no matter what the answer to the question is, I don't want to hear it. I'm good. You left. I had to learn how to put my life back together and move on. Okay. So what now? Oh, no, you've been forgiven. No. What you're asking me for is repositioning. You asking me to restore you back to where you were. And no. Because part of emotional support and management is learning what's no longer useful for you in life at the stage in which you're living. Because again, and see, my thing is, if in the future we get connected back again, I'm good. I'm good. If we can connect this, if we get reconnected again in the future, to God be the glory for the great things he has done. All right? But for my now, I don't have a place for you. You know why? Because your decision taught me how not to live with a consistent you. And watch this. The only consistent thing about you that I knew was that you were going to be inconsistent. Talking hell. Yeah. That's something. I'm putting you all in some game. The only consistent thing I knew about some folk is that they were going to be inconsistent. They were consistently inconsistent. And so now that I am stewarding my emotions and, making better decisions, wiser decisions. Why? Because I love God and I love me. Me loving you looks like me not giving you another opportunity to deal and to treat that person who I was then bad again. No, I'm not going to give you another chance to hit me. I'm not going to give you another chance to disrespect me. I'm not going to give you another chance to embarrass me. like you did without apology. No, we're not going to do that. Me not going to do that. Me not going to do that now. You see what I'm saying? No, we're not doing that. Not playing those games. So, yeah. Don't be afraid to let people challenge you on your decisions. Because if you ever meet me, here's the deal. If you ever meet me and you tell me about your situation, my first thing is that, I'm gonna let you cry, I'm gonna let you do all that emotional, but then I'm gonna ask you a hard question. I said, well, let's dig a little bit in this. Because there's some emotional stewardship. I don't want you to waste your tears. Did you make any decision that supported why you are where you are right now? Is this the reaction of decisions you made that you're sitting in right now? Right? Galatians 6 says, be not deceived. God is not mocked. He's not a man to be joked, played with. Whatever you plant, whatever you sow, that is what you're going to reap. Now, that's what the text says. But in plain English, that whatever you do is going to come back to you. There's an equal opposite reaction to what you just did. So I need to know what was the decision that led us to this place. Right? And Bishop, I'm sorry. No. I don't need the tears to cloud your articulation. I need you to be clear. Talk to me clearly. Yeah? Good deal. No, I'm not stopping your tears. I just need you to I need to make sure your decision matching your tears. Did y'all hear that? I need to make sure that your decision is matching the tears you crying. Because if you by yourself or this happened because of a decision you made, if this bill is about a decision you made that now you can't pay, if your lights are off because when you did have the money, you made the decisions to get your hair done and your nails fixed, or you got you some sneakers or a suit, yeah, and you sit in the dark now, I don't know what I'm going to do. No. We got to come out of that, because what we need to talk about is these things ought not to be. You're getting emotional over a decision that you made, and now you have to attack it at the root level. I shouldn't have made this decision. See, death and things like that, you can't avoid them. Those things are not, you can't decide them, so therefore you can't avoid them. Or better yet, you can't avoid them because you didn't decide it. You just got to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. That's one facet of emotions. But then another facet of emotion is that your ability to choose and decide which directions and actions you're going to do. And then you have to learn how to deal with the fallout of your decisions. Yeah, absolutely. You said, I don't want to ever see you again. Okay, and then when they disappear, why are you walking around like you missed them? Why are you trying to find out where they are? Why are you searching everybody's social media to see where they are? Why are you upset because they blocked you? Well, what are you? I mean, yeah. It's right. See, asking you, y'all hear this now. Asking people about their decisions makes sure that their emotions don't lie to them. That's why I'm going to ask you what did you have anything to do with this? Because I don't want your emotions, your current emotions that you're feeling, to deceive you to think this is about somebody else other than the person who really did it, which is you. That part. So that's why I'm asking. That is why I'm asking. Did you have any part? You know, I was dealing with a young lady, and she made a dumb decision. And then after she made the decision and things got, then she got really emotional and upset about the decision that she made. And I'm like, and she started putting on social media, started talking about it, started telling other people about it. And so I was obligated. I was like, yo, wait, hold it. When I saw her again, I said, let me say this to you. What you need to stop doing is trying to emotionally trap people where you are based upon and not giving them the full information of the decision you made to get into the place where you are. Because you didn't have to be where you are. You chose to be here by the decision that you made, but now you're using emotions to ensnare other people because you need people on your side. Don't do that. Don't do that to the other individual. Don't do that to you. And don't do that to people. Tell them the truth. I own it. I screwed up. I was a jerk. All this is happening right now because, all of this is happening because you are, you made a decision. You made a bad one at that. And so we've got to learn how with these emotional stewardship and management, what kind of decisions am I making? Because those two work hand in hand. They go together. What kind of emotions what kind of decisions are you making? That's why you got to really cool off, get a grasp, get a handle, get a safe space before you make a decision that will lock you in an emotional season that might be difficult for you to get out of. Listen, beloved, I see the runway. This has been an amazing day on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. I need you to keep it right here. There's much, much more to come.
This is a world premiere.
Well, family, it's been a great day. Don't you think? Yeah. Talking about emotional management and support. And I pray today that something that we said was encouraging and enlightening. Yeah. And help you help you move a little bit, smoother in life. I know that we are living in interesting times. And I think it is very important for us to acknowledge that. I'm feeling a whole lot these days. I know as a pastor, as a preacher, to me saying that probably will make some folks look at me like, he must not be the man of God, which absolutely is crazy because if there's anybody that feels, senses, and discerns and has to manage emotions properly, it has to be the preacher, has to be the pastor. Those who have to look out for other people, oftentimes neglect themselves. And so, it's been a season where, all of the events that are happening are driving me into contemplation, into prayer, into meditation. Because guess what? We don't have time to be hating on folks and mad at people. Life is going to life. Life is going to do exactly what it does. And we've got to learn how to build up appropriate barriers. One of the greatest things that ever happened to me is that I met a man named Nick Eno. And he was a dear friend of another brother of mine, Dr. Hart Ramsey. And just sitting there making me feel, that was probably one of the first times as a man, as a pastor, as a minister that I felt like it was okay to have emotions, okay to be sensitive. Because sometimes people pad you in the world of a caricature and how you preach. We preach with such force and such anointing, and people think because of that's how you move in the pulpit, that's how you are in life. And so what we find out quickly is that that's not really how it is. We have emotions too. And since that time, that's been about almost a decade ago. Since that time, my whole wheelhouse, part of my wheelhouse is trying to marry the spirit, this renewed spirit, this recreated, regenerated spirit with this renewed mind, this transformed mind, and see how we can build a successful life with my wife, my family, the congregation that the Lord has appointed me to, the people that I meet, the music that I sing, the books that I write. I want people to feel the authenticity of not just a spiritual man, but a man who is emotionally stable and has great emotional management. That's my prayer. And that's my prayer for you today as we sign off. Like my grandmama and my mama will always say that I love you a bush and I love you a peck. And I love you a hug around the neck. This has been the Culture Call right here on Praise 93.3 FM and 790 WTSK. We'll catch you tomorrow from 10 to 12. I need you to tell everybody, don't miss it. Listen, love each other, be kind, be sweet, and do all that God has given you to do. Peace. Have a blessed day.